We've been hands-on with the Resident Evil 2 remake. Here's 7 terrifying facts you need to know about this return to Raccoon City. Think about your early experiences of Resident Evil 2 and they're probably dark, terrifying and unpleasant. Maybe you played it far too young, gleefully skipping past the gore warnings only to have it give you nightmares anyway with its terrifying T-virus infected hordes and fixed camera angles. Well, Resident Evil 2 is back and ready for its 2019 release, and this time it actually looks and feels as horrifying as you thought it was then. This is no mere liquor of HD paint from Capcom. This is a full rebuild of Resident Evil 2 with the same plotline but a number of key changes that will make this feel fresh for even the most hardened of Raccoon City police alumni. From brand new playable characters to the return of some key enemies, here are 7 terrifying facts we learned while playing the Resident Evil 2 remake. Before I get into the granular, gory details, it's important to note that this might be in the gorgeous engine of last year's Resident Evil 7, but Resident Evil 2 still feels like it always has. Once again, we're returning to Raccoon City with both Leon and Claire, and while everything looks beautiful with dripping raindrops and shining slick city streets, the underlying feeling is still one of complete dread. Even the removal of tank controls can't take away any of the complete and utter terror as you make your way slowly along a darkened corridor, just waiting for something to loom out of the gloom to rip your neck open. The staggering victims of the T-virus still make for vicious opponents, and unless you're particularly lucky with a critical hit, even a few headshot pops won't bring them down immediately. Puzzles are still a case of find item A, take it to point B, and try not to die in the process. And yes, you're absolutely going to idolise typewriters once again. These save points don't require a ribbon anymore, but you'll still be sent back further than you'd like every time you meet your maker. And here's your first big surprise. The Resident Evil 2 remake lets you play as legendary wearer of a red dress, Ada Wong. Armed with a pistol and an electricity hacking device, I'd like to say that Ms. Wong is a formidable foe, but that's only if you manage to stay away from the staggering virus victims. One heart-in-mouth puzzle I encountered meant arriving on a factory floor and having to find a way to desperately power a lift. In traditional Resi style, the room was full of brain-hungry monsters, and Capcom know exactly where to put extra bullets to crank up the tension as you follow the blue wires to the generator. Flicking between the pistol and your electricity MacGuffin is enjoyably terrifying as you attempt to dodge the grasping arms of the monstrosities staggering slowly after you. And even once you've managed to turn the power on, getting back to where you need to go is an exercise in pure 90s survival horror. You might not be able to see the individual pixels anymore, but Ada is in a very similar predicament to ones that you were in at 10 years old, and it's just as terrifying. Only this time, you can stuff a flash grenade into a monster's mouth, and you'll probably want to hang around to see exactly what happens. Are you ready for the bad news? Or the bad news? Mr. X is well and truly back in business. Even if you didn't play the original, all you need to know is that this is the nickname for one of the T-103 tyrants in the series, and he's someone you really don't want to meet on a dark night. Towering over your suddenly insignificant heroes, regardless of the fact that they're armed with acid-spewing grenades, Mr. X is basically a walking wall and a total bullet sponge. This is a creature that ploughs his way through headshots like leaves brushing his forehead while going for a walk in the park. Nothing can bring down this hulking giant, which means all you need to do is play dodge the monster as you desperately run in the other direction. In the sequence I played, whether meeting him as Ada or later as Claire Redfield, this umbrella creation is a tour de force of complete destruction. His sole purpose is to fill your heart with pure dread as you hear his clumping footsteps thundering after you. Ever wondered how slasher movie villains could be so scary even though they just walk all the time? Welcome to being in Mr. X's sights. I'll just go this way, shall I? If all of that wasn't enough, it's time to go back to the 90s with your inventory. It's been something that Matt and I discussed at length in our real-life objects that games have ruined discussion, but Resident Evil 2 is realistic when it comes to how much you can carry. Just not when it comes to the creation of horrific monsters. With dangerously limited inventory space, every room means you're constantly faced with the grim decisions of herbs and health versus good old-fashioned ammunition. Cue much combining of green herbs and red ones, and the gnashing of teeth as you upgrade your weapon and find out that it takes up even more space in your bag than ever before. The existence of stash boxes makes all of this a little easier though. Found at every typewriter save point, you can leave key items in these somehow connected boxes instead of losing them forever. Provided you can get to one without someone or something trying to eat your brain in the process. Regardless, every glimpse into your inventory is a new challenge, and you're going to have to make some seriously hard choices. In case it wasn't clear, the results of Umbrella's testing haven't grown soft in their old age. The nasties waiting in the dark of Raccoon City are as horrific as ever. An alligator still lurks somewhere, we can't show you where because spoilers, and the lickers that crawl across the walls are still there to frighten the living daylights out of you. Although it's a little easier to get revenge on them as you fire flaming grenade rounds or acid directly into their faces. Get jumped on without time to get trigger happy though, and you'll be able to stab those ugly sods with your combat knife. Just remember you'll have to get it back though, and there might be more monsters where that came from. The sequence I played with Claire Redfield culminated in far more lickers than anyone would know what to do with, and running in the other direction quickly became a go-to solution instead of standing and fighting. Resident Evil 2's monsters have no idea when to stop, and whether it's a staggering jump scare from a standard zombie as you open a door, or something a lot bigger, ready yourself for some serious panic. You might be feeling safe right now if you've got a muscle memory of the original. Maybe you feel like none of this can sneak into your head if you know what's hiding behind those locked doors or even through those oh-so-smashable windows. Well, no, you don't. Capcom has made a concerted effort to make sure that you have no idea what's going to happen. Sure, you play as Leon, Claire, and now Ada, and you'll hit the same beats, but what lies between you and your end goal is now a mystery. Scares have been changed, and monsters will crop up exactly where you don't expect them to. Yanking out each individual tray in a morgue is still going to be as tense as if you hadn't played it already. The rules have completely changed for the remake. True survival horror just doesn't let you get away with learning where the jumps go. And finally, surprise, there's still one new playable character revealed in my hands-on. Young Sherry Birkin will be under your control for at least one sequence in Resident Evil 2. I can't show you how it happens, but know that you will be steering the daughter of Umbrella researchers Dr. William and Annette Birkin around an area known as the Orphanage. One can only imagine how terrifying this is going to be as Sherry probably wanders in the darkness without a single weapon. Hey, perhaps she's trained like Claire or Leon, but I get the distinct sense that there's going to be no reassuring weaponry here. I'm guessing that all that will be between Sherry and the teeth of whatever is waiting will be your smarts. We'll have to wait and see.
Tie her up now, or she dies.
So that's 7 terrifying facts I learned from my hands-on with the Resident Evil 2 remake. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below, drop us a like if you're looking forward to making horrible inventory choices, and don't forget to subscribe to Logitech G for more exciting 2019 previews just like this one. If you do already subscribe, hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss our next video.
Stay safe, Sherry.